With a strong national league, skilled players and an amazing Asian Cup run just behind them, whether you like them or hate them, could Qatar be the first Asian football team to become a world football power? Well, that's what I'm looking at today in today's video. Hi everyone, I'm Ghost Masala and welcome back to a new sort of video on the channel. It's a different type of video, I know, looking in depth in a team this time instead of usually I look more in depth into certain players, but yeah, a bit different, and I hope you enjoy it. And also I really do need suggestions for any type of videos like this or who is videos. I'll leave a playlist in the top right if you want to see some of those if you're new, and yeah, or anything really. I can't always make Road To Hokkaido or Champions League predictions due to various reasons, so yeah, make sure to leave suggestions so I have some other ideas for videos to do. Yeah, so in this video I'll be looking at Qatar's national team and their domestic league in depth, as well as what they do differently to the other Asian nations and what factors could make them a world powerhouse in the future. And of course there is a lot of controversy surrounding Qatar, and I do mean a lot, and also the World Cup in 2022, and I do know it exists, but I'm not going to discuss it in this video. I don't really want to talk about this controversial issues on this channel, so I do know they exist, but yeah, I'm just not going to talk about them because I don't want to offend anyone. So first of all, let's talk about Qatar's national team. First thing to note is that the Asian Cup squad was very, very young. They had 11 players aged 23 or younger, which is almost half the team that are very young and have a lot of potential in the future. The second most important part of Qatar's national team and their Asian Cup run was the fact that they have some incredible individual talent in Almoez Ali and Akram Afif. Watch Almoez Ali's overhead kick in the final of the Asian Cup against Japan. If you don't believe me, it is a really, really good goal, and I haven't seen anything like that in football before, to be honest. It's really, really good. But in fact, the whole team is very skillful. Even the centre-back, Al-Rawi, scored a brilliant free kick, and you don't expect that from centre-backs, and their whole team is built around skill, really, I would say, in various ways. That's probably their strength. And thirdly, they managed to win in the United Arab Emirates, which is important because no travelling Qatari fans were allowed there due to tensions between the countries, which is quite good because it shows that even despite having no fans to support them, they still managed to win. And finally, the way that they won was very, very convincing. They scored 19 goals and conceded just one, which was conceded in the final against arguably one of the strongest Asian nations, which was Japan. Of course, 19 goals is very impressive. Almoez Ali on his own scored 9 goals, which makes him the highest goal scorer in a single AFC Asian Cup of all time, which is very impressive. And they also recently beat Switzerland in a friendly 1-0. Of course, Switzerland made it to the last 16 of the World Cup and considered to be quite a strong nation with some really good players. Of course, it was just a friendly, but it shows signs of things to come. Yeah, so that's about their national team. Now we'll move on to their youth development and Qatar's youth development, and it has been very good compared to other countries we've seen from Asia in particular, and I'd say quite a lot of Europe as well. Although the majority of the players do play in the Qatar League, the majority of the national team players that is, which I'll come back to later, it's not a bad thing, but almost all of the young players who play for the Qatar national team at the moment have spent time in European clubs such as CAS Eupen in Belgium and Cultural Leonesa in Spain. And both of these clubs are part of the same government group that run Qatari clubs and PSG. So yeah, even if these sort of moving around transfers do happen for monetary reasons, it could be argued, it still provides valuable experience to the players no matter what the motives are. And in addition, the Qatar Stars League makes it very easy for Qatari players to break through. I don't think there's a limit, but it's on Qatar players, but the government, of course, in fact there might be, I really don't know, I couldn't find any information on it, but there always seem to be at least 4 or 5 Qatar players who play for each team, despite the high level of opposition they come up against, which leads me into my next point, and where we're going to talk about the Qatar Stars League itself. And it is starting to reach the Chinese league, I would say, in terms of quality of players that play there. Both Medhi, Benatia and Shoya Nakajima recently transferred there. These are both players who would start in most European teams. Of course, Medhi Benatia is a veteran defender who used to play for Juventus and Bayern and loads of clubs. He would still get into most European teams, and Shoya Nakajima is a 24-year-old, broke the Japanese transfer record for 35 million when he moved to Al Hilal, and of course that is a really good sign for things to come for the Qatar Stars League, although he may be going to PSG in the future, but either way it still raises awareness. Furthermore, the league is very competitive, unlike the Chinese league. There have been 4 different title winners over the past 10 years, which is, to put that in perspective, that's the same record that the Premier League has had. Premier League has had 4 different title winners in the last 10 years, and that is seen as a very competitive league. Not quite as competitive as leagues such as Japan's league, but it's still really competitive, and it's always really close as well. And finally, Qatari teams are starting to compete in the Asian Champions League as well, which is really important if they want to shine on the global stage. Last year, 2 Qatari teams made it to the quarterfinals of the AFC Champions League, and only Korea and Iran did the same. They both had 2 teams in the quarterfinals as well, but of course that means Qatari teams did better than Australia, Japan, China as well, and any other Asian league you can think of. So, to conclude, will Qatar become the first real Asian football powerhouse? Well, I think there's a few things that Qatar will need to prove. First of all, they will in summer 2019 they will compete in Copa America as a guest, so that will be a good way to show their true strength. Will they be able to compete with the South American teams at all? Will they do better than them? I don't know what the rules are, or if a guest can win the Copa America. I haven't looked at that, but of course Japan are also in that, so that will be a good comparison as again how they compare to other Asian teams. And for me, they also need a player to move to Europe and shine, and Almoez would be a good contender. He could move to maybe a Belgian club or something like that, maybe a lower league club, and work his way up. He's only 22, he has loads of time to become a good player, and he seems really good already. So what do you guys think? Will Qatar shine in the world of football, or collapse completely after their one win? Will this be their one? Will the Asian Cup 2019 have been their one time to shine, and then will they just, I don't know, lose money or just run out of talent, or not be able to buy any more players or anything like that? Either way, it looks like they have a small chance at the 2022 World Cup. They won't just go out straight away, in my opinion. Right, thanks for watching everyone. Hopefully this video hasn't been too long. Any questions, feel free to ask me about anything to do with this sort of stuff. I know quite a lot about it. Of course, I've left quite a lot of the controversial stuff out, but I will answer questions about it if people have them. Leave suggestions for future videos in this sort of series. Do you like this sort of video where I go in depth to a team? I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do next, actually, which could be a cool idea about football financial groups, you know, like the Red Bull one. So if you think that sounds good, then leave a comment, and yeah, I'll definitely look at your suggestions as well, because I definitely like looking at suggestions. And yeah, I think that's all I've got to say. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.